Hey guys, welcome back to this lovely and
Oh,
wild show of the Love and Chokes podcast. Why cannot people see? I'm like, oh, there you go. There we go. The screen's live. We're loaded in. Cool, perfect, perfect. This is the lovely Darren. He does not look like an animal anymore because he got the haircut of a lifetime.
stop.
He's
Look, I understand that I was a little rough there for a while. A little.
yeah,
Like, perhaps I had a look of a man who could be on the side of the road with a sign, "We'll grapple you for a sandwich," you know?
yeah.
And then instead of grappling you, I would have hit you with a brick. Robbed you. No, that's not true. Like, but yes, there was a shaving of the head, right? Which apparently is controversial in my DMs, Anthony. There's great controversy of whether or not I should have a bald head or let my hair be long and curly.
Yeah,
And yeah, there's a lot of backlash. There are those who do not like the baldness.
understandable.
But I embrace these. I embrace the baldness. I think it's a good look for me. It reminds me of like seriousness, like
Yeah,
when my hair is short like this, I feel like it's time to get to work. And that's exactly what it's time to do.
yes, 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 yes. And we have much to discuss for this time of work.
Oh, on air or in
Oh, bro.
general?
I mean, well, just in general. Well, today the work we had to do, the work we had to discuss is all the stuff like all the UFCs that we didn't talk about. Your experience in Abu Dhabi. We got like Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan. What else
Wow.
is going on? Vice presidents are homeless. Cannibalism.
What?
Uh,
What?
Jailing. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world.
Oh man. There's a lot. There's a lot. All right, well then let's get right to this shit.
All right.
Um, do we want to talk about the fucking calf kicks and the fucking falling of a hero?
Let's
What,
go.
what do you want to talk about?
Let's go in chronological order. So we'll talk about the Max Holloway thing, and then we'll talk about your transition into like the whole trip in Abu Dhabi, and then the fight card and that from there.
Cool.
All right. So, did you get a chance to watch the Max Holloway fight, by the way, versus Calvin Cater? It was like it was
Okay. I've watched some of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid. Oh, this is the this is a shoot. This is a shoot. I am for shoot, which is translated. I am actually afraid to stream that UFC from the site I would normally have used
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want Dana to knock on my door. I think the Dana boogeyman is real, man.
Oh man, I watched everybody talk a whole bunch of
So
a gangster load of shit to Shayna, like, "Hey, what you gonna do? I'm streaming it illegal right now." Ooh, because when he said that shit, where he was like, "Hey, I got people outside his house tapping his phone lines. If he makes a move, we're gonna know about it, and then we're gonna come in and arrest him." I'm like, "You got that one guy." It's like amazing. It's just like it's like drug bust. That's amazing, dude. Good for you. They're selling coke through teddy bears. Like nobody gives a fuck about Billy on the street.
whoa,
It's true.
Billy on the street is selling coke.
Billy on the street selling coke through teddy bears, and everybody just selling coke, and they're worried about. They're like, we got the guy, we got the biggest, baddest dude ever, and then you see Franco Mendez over there. He's out here manufacturing toys for tots, but there's really coke inside of them, and nobody is any the wiser.
Oh man, you're right. You're right. It's hard to stay ahead of the game,
Yeah,
right? It's hard to stay ahead of the game. If you're trying to fight for the good guys, the bad guys are already operating on a level that you can't really fuck with. That's how they became the bad guys,
yeah,
right? So you're already just by definition you're playing catch up.
yes.
You're always going to be playing catch up. So good luck with that shit. If that is your gimmick, like if that's what you like to do,
Yeah.
if you like to chase the bad guys around, and I mean more power to you
Yeah.
because you're gonna need it. Where were we? Where were we?
Max Holloway and Calvin Cater. So
Yeah, so I was afraid. I was afraid that Uncle Dana was gonna get me.
right,
So I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it all the way through. I've only seen what everybody else has seen, which is just Max slipping shit, looking at DC, talking his shit, and then throw in some more.
which is all very
Right.
cool.
So I have a feeling, Anthony, that you weren't as impressed by his performance.
No,
To quote the great GSP,
it's like it was.
as everyone else seems to be. Everybody is singing his praises. They're referencing like the numbers. The numbers are saying that he has the most strikes thrown and landed in the history of the sport. And Anthony, I feel like, look at your face right now. Look at your shoulder position. You're ready to talk your shit.
Yes.
Like, I feel like you really think that this is being overblown.
Yes. So there was. And by the way, I'm not an MMA analyst. I'm not a striker. I'm not anything like that. But from what I understood, and then what was backed up to me by other like striking analysts that kind of like just took step back and said, "Oh wait, let's look at this for real." It was that it wasn't. It's impressive. Like the stats are impressive. Like the stats are true, but there's a lot of ways you can get 500 punches. Like if a person stands still and lets you punch him in the face a lot, that's 500 punches. If you hit a punching bag, that's 500 punches. If a guy's so tough, they cannot get knocked down, you'll get 500 punches. And what happened here in this fight was that Max Holloway was a very bad matchup for Calvin Kattar. I don't know if it was an injury, a weird game plan, whatever it was, but what he came out as wasn't a good matchup for Max Holloway. It's like you have flight of feet versus a very much a plotting, like, a couple 1, 2, 3 combo striker. And a guy's like, he's throwing 3 strikes, Max throwing 6 or 8 combo strikes. It's a very big difference. Also, the way a person backs out when they're exiting the exchange, they're exiting the pocket. He backed out very straight back, and Max just came forward and still hit him. He didn't circle away to make sure he was safe. So it's very like things that seem like, oh, like I've watched enough fights to kind of be like, oh, like this is things that you need to be doing if you're gonna exit a pocket safely, or if you're going to exit like away from the danger, or exit away from the power hand. I think he was running towards Max Holloway's power hand for a lot of the fight too, where he was running into a lot of the most dangerous parts of his strikes. And like I said, it could be the coaches didn't have a good angle. Like, it could have been Calvin was like, like days early, but I would not say it's a masterclass performance. It's like calling Anderson Silva versus, what's his face? We were talking about it earlier. I can't even think of the guy's name right now. I'm blanking on
Chris Lieben.
Chris Lieben. A masterclass.
Chris Lieben.
Chris
that,
Lieben.
That debut. That UFC debut.
It's like, it was perfect. It was a stylistic matchup made in heaven for Anderson. It's like, hey, let me give you a guy that's super tough, super durable, that you can show a lot of stuff off on and make you look really cool. I'm not saying that's the same thing that happened with Calvin Kattar, because Calvin Kattar is a top flight fighter. He's a great guy. But let's take into the fact that if you look at it style versus style in that matchup, it wasn't a good matchup and there was no adjustments made during the fight. I know it's a very hard thing to do and it's a very hard thing to say because even veterans have trouble making adjustments in their fights when things are going on and when the heat's been flown. But I'm saying it's not. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this is the number one guy, and he just made him look like doo doo. It's like no. This is a guy who is in the mix, but the game plan, the execution, the way he was moving was not planned at all towards how Max Holloway moves or how Max Holloway throws or how Max Holloway does his craft. Not at all. It was almost.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a serious condemnation,
right,
of Calvin Kattar. It's just saying like what he presented was a thing that was easily countered by the actions that Max was taking, and that if you don't adjust once that's happened, it becomes to compound itself. So like if I'm only going in and out of the pocket, straight in and out, right? And this other guy is exploding and changing angles, you're feeding into what he does. And so, of course, he's going to run up the score on you, right? Like, of course he's going to.
Yeah. And
I don't think that you're also, like, comparing and saying that Calvin Kattar is Chris Lieben.
No.
It's just, there's a similar nature to, like, what each guy was doing and what they were presented with.
Right.
Right? Like, you were presented with the guy to show off on. And, like, that was on paper from the jump in the Anderson Silva Chris Lieben fight.
Yeah.
Like, they signed that fight for Anderson to get off. Where in this case, it's more like the Calvin Kattar that presented himself that day was carbon copy built to get destroyed by Max Holloway.
Right.
But when the fight was signed, it wasn't that like this guy isn't going to be on the same level.
Yeah.
We're going to see a crazy display. It wasn't a setup the same way.
Yeah.
Right. It just played out that way.
Yeah.
And perhaps there's an injury that wasn't disclosed.
Right.
Like perhaps there's a reason that we didn't see a very mobile Calvin Kattar.
Right.
But we didn't. And so since we didn't, we saw what we saw.
Yeah.
I understand your point. But man, it does sound like a hot take when everybody else is like, blah, 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 raptita, this guy just did the thing. You're like, hold on a second. Back up a little bit. Like, perspective is different.
Yeah.
Not that there's a law of perspective. Let's not get it twisted. Where there isn't. There's a definition. And there's somebody out there that needs to hear that. but like, perspective is a motherfucker, right? So, like, if I back away from it, and I don't look at it through its newness lens, then I'm not as excited about it. But if I look at it through the newness, then man, is it a shiny, sparkly performance, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, maybe he was just in the perfect position to have that performance. That's another thing that can be looked at.
Yeah.
And that's not unfair, and it doesn't take anything away from what he did. He still did what he did. But it's like, okay, like, did you score 100 points on the Washington Generals? On the fucking 92 fucking Pistons? Like who did you score 100 on? Like, it's relevant.
Right.
Like, it's relevant.
Yeah. That's all it is. But passing on to that, let's talk more about your Abu Dhabi travels and the whole experience of that.
It was an entirely unique experience, Anthony. Like, I can only express gratitude for the opportunity to do it. Essentially, like, in terms of MMA, I've been able to, on paper, especially if you just look at it on paper, Jesus Christ, in a very short amount of time, I've been able to essentially realize all of my competitive dreams and aspirations in that sport through one person and her generosity with the spotlight. I got to corner a UFC title fight.
Mm-hmm.
I got to corner a main event, and I got to corner one of the biggest fights, like one of the biggest fight cards in history, the Conor McGregor card.
Yep.
I got to do all those things. Then I got to see a part of the world I never would have seen if not for that opportunity. That's madness. So it's difficult to see your friend not get her hand raised when you know how hard she worked for it, and you know that there were some things stacked against her, like surgeries and fuck, man, like it was a tough year for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. But like, it was a tough year. Had there not been COVID, there still were 2 surgeries she didn't have to deal with in her career before. You know, like she lost an organ this past year. Like, there's a lot going on. And she fought so well. She fought so well that I wasn't convinced that we had lost that fight. I thought we won. I thought we won 2 rounds. But of course, I can see it through that lens, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But I mean, like, these things happen. Like, but if you're gonna fall short like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was a great fight.
Yeah, it was very. I did like the one thing that was very interesting. The head positioning, the pinning with the forehead was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her head positioning was really excellent on the cage. I mean, she just did a great job. They just didn't see it our way. Like, they value different things. I think the kicks are a factor.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Takedowns are actually worth less now.
We were using the word subjective and objective a lot, like privately, and like I don't get too much into like things that we said or did during the camps, but that phrase came up a lot, and like anytime it's subjective, the end, you know, when they count scores instead of pick someone up off the ground, right? When they count the scores and you allow it to get to the subjective point, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to see it differently. And they didn't see it our way. But, like, if we just talk about the experience, right? Fucking wild and entirely unique. So here, like, it's not just that like you go to Abu Dhabi. It's that you go there and you could have been anywhere because the place had been converted into such a unique experience that it could have been on the moon. Like, so here's what I'm saying. Like, you get into a plane and you travel 15 hours. And when you get to the place, everybody's wearing hazmat suits and they put you on a little bus and then they zip you off to a hotel where everyone's wearing hazmat suits. They wipe down and sanitize all of your gear. And then you walk into the hotel and you like get issued your card and you go upstairs and you're there for 48 hours and you're not supposed to leave your room.
Yeah.
You were COVID tested before you left, and then you got COVID tested again as soon as you got there, and then you're quarantined, right? And you're given wristbands at each stage of the testing to demonstrate your status and like if you have tested the most recent test and are clean and are allowed to do more things, right? Like, right. So for the first 48 hours, you can't leave your room. So it's like you've gone to this new place, but you haven't seen anything in this place. So by contrast, we went to Toronto for a fight, and we were there for a few days. And once you were there and you check in, you're free to do whatever the fuck you want to do, including train, right? With every member of your team. You're all allowed to be together. We weren't allowed to be together. You had to stay in your rooms.
Yeah.
So you were encouraged to like room with your best training partner, right? Like it was very, very interesting. Everything was so unique because of COVID. But then then another unique part of the experience is that the hotel just happens to be like in the center of an F1 racetrack.
Ooh.
And there was an F1 race weekend. So like there's fucking like high speed cars like zipping around you at all hours of the day. I sent videos out to little sis Polina because she's a car person. Yeah. And I was like, look, this fucking crazy shit. Like, this is so wild. So like there was that. That was the one thing that made it almost feel like you were on a trip, like you were in a tourist environment in a way, because like something was happening. There was an event outside of us. Right? So like that was almost like comforting, but it was also very loud.
I can imagine.
Right? So it was like hit or miss. So like depending on your state, it was either annoying or awesome, right? Like depending on your state. Yeah, and eventually we were free. And then like there were restaurants and like room service, and certain meals were free. So like they provided you with enough food to survive for sure. Like, yeah. Like you get like you should get a menu, right, of like a normal restaurant menu, and about like a third or like 35% of the items on there are free.
Okay.
Right, but you just get to pick one of them, right? Like, but like so a lot of them are free and just have like a little UFC icon on it, and then the rest of the prices are listed. So like, if you wanted to have lunch, you could always have lunch. You could have like the falafel or the chicken breast or and like it was really excellent and easy as fuck. So like you were taken care of. You are in like essentially a luxury environment. But you are locked the fuck down. You can't go anywhere. You can't leave. So even after you pass your shit, you can't leave the grounds of the hotel for any reason.
Right.
Nor can you have anyone from outside of it come in. So like say there was a restaurant like 5 miles away and you were like, that's the restaurant of my dreams. Yeah. Well, too fucking bad. Like like you can't have that. And now here's an example of how serious shit is. We get to the weigh-in, and Jess gets down to weight. We walk her down to the scale for the official weigh-in, right? Not the one where like you do the face off and the flexing and the smiling, like the real way in. And we're looking at the sheet, the call sheet, and there's one under this dude, and it just says out. It just like in red letters just says out, like and this one dude's out, and we're like, what the fuck? What does out mean? Did he not make weight? Like, and this one guy that works a job, so I can keep it as vague as possible, says to me, he's like, yeah, I think that dude is like super rich and like maybe slightly entitled, and tried to have somebody like brought into the bubble and like gave them a wristband, and now he's kicked out of the UFC forever. Like he's dead to the UFC, like instantly kicked out of the UFC. Not like in trouble for like, oh, you're a naughty boy. They're like, no, you're fucking you're out of the UFC now.
You want to hear the
So out was very, very literal.
You want to hear the crazy story about that?
Yes.
So this guy, they cut off their wristbands. They somehow gave it to the guy on the outside. The guy gets in through all the security, goes in through an open door, shimmies down 5 balconies to drop a bag off in that dude's room, and then he's about to walk out. Like, they have it all on video. And there's
Do we know what's in the bag?
no idea. They have no idea what's in the bag. They have no idea.
That's the sexiest part of the story.
Dana
I want to
has
know
no-
what is worth dropping in like Mission Impossible. Why would you do Mission Impossible just to get a single bag into a room?
Like they had it all. I want to see the video. That's what I really want to see. I want to see.
Why not just take a drone? Why not just risk a drone?
That's actually better. That's a way better point. It's like, why not just fly this thing in and then just?
Are there rules against drones?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure.
Sanitize this drone.
Sanitize this drone. But yeah, that this dude, like they did not, like him and his team, like they all, like I don't know why they all removed their wristbands. I don't understand that part of it. But they all removed their wristbands, and they're I'm like that's the best part about it. Like this dude like climbed down 4 balconies to get to this room.
They hired an acrobat
just to drop off this bag. And then he just
Ocean's 47 and shit. Just to get a bag. What's in the fucking bag?
And this dude was like an undefeated fighter too, which was kind of interesting. It's like this dude wasn't like, let's see, he was like 13-0. It's like, it's kind of wild. It's like, oh yeah, like you're gone now, buddy. Like have fun.
I mean, he'll be fine, but
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? What was so valuable?
Oh, you're cutting out. Dude, you're back.
The seriousness of
You're back now.
is that what it is? Do you think? Do you think this person just Do you think this person just took for granted the importance of the rules?
Probably. I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, just the way it just sounds like, it sounds like this guy just didn't understand. Like, hey, like this is for real, for real. You're not,
Because they weren't fucking around.
yeah, like you're not Conor McGregor. You can't just do that. Like, I'm sorry, like you can't do that, and like you don't have that. Like, because that
And I mean, like, like Conor did come later than everybody else,
yeah,
right?
and he also came on a boat.
And yes, there was a boat involved.
Yeah. Like, it's not like he just came in on a plane. He just like, I'm yachting in. What's up, guys? Hey, hey, how's it going? Oh, nice to see you.
We all walk in with our fucking bags, and we get like fucking sprayed down like we're some kind of fucking. And then Connor walks in with his kid, like, "What's up?
What's up?"
What it do?"
Exactly.
But hey, man, I'm not mad.
Yeah. No,
I understand what brought all that shit together.
yeah.
You know.
No, I think that I do agree. I want to know what's in the bag. I definitely think it's something like, it's probably not, it probably wasn't even worth it. It probably wasn't even like any, like it wasn't worth it. Like if it was like, oh man, I need this thing that's gonna help me get through my fight, maybe. But
It was like edibles.
yeah,
It was
exactly,
like-
exactly,
It was
yeah, exactly.
It
It's
was
just
like fucking
nonsense.
weed brownies.
Like nonsense. Like you don't need that to like make it through the week, dude.
It was
Come
a
on.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah, something unnecessary.
Oh man.
But yeah.
I mean, it leads to more speculation, and it's like, well, what could you have possibly needed? And like the first thing that everybody would think were drugs, or like IV kit, like something that would be illegal, that would like pertain to the game, But like it could be anything. It could be anything. But like apparently they thought it was worth risking everything because that's what they lost. But
Oh my god. Is this real?
what?
No, this can't be real. This can't be real. I don't know. It's not real. Oh, stop it. Somebody was making up some story. Either they're saying he was getting popped.
You thought you were getting down to the
Yeah, I thought I was getting to it. It was like he's breaking prostitutes. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
in a bag?
I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Get out of here.
Look, I will say this. I've never matched so much on Tinder in my life.
Yeah.
There are a lot of hookers over there. But like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because even if I wanted a hooker, I wouldn't have been able to bring her in because of the goddamn
Bubble.
security and the wristbands and the fucking COVID.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Unless I got her on a drone.
Just got it. Talk to his boy.
Dropped her on my balcony.
Talk to his boy. Be like, hey man, you bring throw her over your shoulder like a caveman, and just climb down with. Oh man.
But yeah, like you were COVID tested frequently, and then like the event in a way was almost it felt like normal, like except for like waking up at a different time. Like you had a call time, you got on the bus, you got taken to the arena. The only thing that was weird was that like you were kind of rushed out of it too.
Oh, you rushed out of the arena?
Where like before you like took time, there was like catering and you could just like chill and eat and leave when you were ready. And they were like, okay, if you're ready, just let us know. It was like after your fight, you need to have everything packed up already. So like we had to pack our bags before we got out of the fucking room to go fight, so that they would have them ready. So that like when we were done, they were like, grab your stuff and you're out of here.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing that was different was as soon as we got out of medical, because Jess had to get stitched. And as soon as we got out of there, we go to the hallway and they're like, all right, like clear the hallway. And so we like press ourselves up against the wall. It's Connor's walkout. And so Connor did his walkout in front of us. And it was kind of neat to like see him going to the cage. And then by the time we got back to the hotel,
yeah,
the fight was just starting. So we watched the fight together.
Nice.
And yeah, and now it's just like, and then it was time to pack and it was time to get ready to come back to America. And like when we get to the airport, and like you would think that the airport experience would just be like any other, but it was not, Anthony. Like
No.
you get back to the airport and they're like, okay, you're gonna go to the first class lounge, and I'm like, the what? Like, did they say that right? And then it's everyone that has to fly back, and you get like free food, free alcohol if you so chose, right? I exercised my right to have a drink, and some food, and yeah, then got on the plane and slept.
Yeah.
And I'm finally back on a normal schedule today. I think today is like my first day where I feel completely adjusted and like just back to normal. Like I had a meeting this morning at 9 a.m. and like I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
You know, I was like I had slept enough to be present. So like the days have now begun. But like that first day back, I could have been anywhere. Like I was just in a hyperbaric chamber of sleep. Because it was just so confusing. It's a 12-hour difference.
Right.
And so like it's a complete flip of your day. But yeah, I mean a completely unique experience.
That's cool.
A completely unique experience.
Awesome.
I don't know what else to say about it.
I mean, it sounds pretty dope. I think all of it was cool. The event looked super dope too. And
there was a crowd.
There was a crowd. That was the interesting part too.
There were people there. It felt new. But it was neat, man. It was neat. And now, like, yeah, now it's just back to work.
It's good. Good.
Back to work. And like that's how it should be. Like you can't live in that moment. I have to live in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that moment, though, there were some fights that I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that how that went." Like Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker. I'm so happy. Michael Chandler just broke that dude. Broke that dude with that hand. Just immediately, like, I'm just a little snake. I'm a little guy. You know, it's no big deal. Yeah. You know, welcome me to the UFC. Here you go. Blam.
I mean, look, the talk around there was just like, dude, Hooker's so much bigger. Hooker's so much bigger. And I didn't see Dan Hooker and at the same time connect to the fact that it was Dan Hooker.
Right.
There were only a few times I saw somebody and was like, oh shit, that's blah blah blah, right? I never noticed Mr. Hooker. So yeah, like when I saw them in the cage, I did the first thing I saw was the size difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, Mr. Chandler has his work cut out for him. Like, holy shit, this is going to be a tough one for him. He did not make it look like it was a hard puzzle to solve. He looked like he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And he got to it quickly. And like that didn't look like one of those things that's like a shot that wasn't planned. It was like something that they had thought of.
Yeah.
Like something that was executed, that was planned out. It worked really, really well.
Yeah.
And the only thing about that fight that scared me was the goddamn backflip. Because it looked like he blew his fucking legs out when he fucking came down. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, if this dude just fucking broke his legs, and then he does a back roll right out of it and hops up, and I'm like, I think he's okay, but that's still not really the strongest indicator.
It looks sketchy, yeah.
Like, it looked very sketchy. But that hook did not look sketchy.
No.
Like, what a fucking shot.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, Dustin Poirier after the fucking press conference, or at the press conference, said he's not interested in fighting Michael Chandler at this point. So the narrative of like Michael Chandler coming in, starching a guy who's in the top 10, and then fighting for the belt. Like Poirier's like, if that's the plan, don't involve me in that plan. Did you see this?
No, I did not see that, but I believe that.
He's like, if that's the plan, I'll go sell hot sauce. Like, let that dude fight Charles Oliveira or somebody like that, and then put in a situation where I'm fighting for a belt against someone that matters. Or give me Nate Diaz. You know, like, give me something like he's trying to earn.
Make money, yeah, which is...
You know, he's like, I'm not trying to fight Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
Like, he just got to this party. He's like, I've been at this party for a minute.
Yeah.
So, like, he's not wrong. But if it depends on what you want to do. I think what he's saying is, I don't value being UFC champion enough that I will make less money on the day that I do it.
Yeah.
Like he's fighting for his family, which means he's fighting for money. He's not fighting for himself because the title is just for you. The title is just yours. But the money is something that's calories that you can spread around and spend on your family and impact their lives in a way that the title itself cannot do. The title is something that you get to keep, right? That you can point to as evidence of your greatness. It's an opportunity to cash in, but it is not actual cash itself.
Right.
And Mr. Poirier is like, look, you're not going to trick me into not getting this money and getting some belt with Mr. Chandler. No. You're going to have to pay me because you're going to have to fucking pull the truck up, have Nate Diaz driving that bitch. Do you want this? Do you want this cash in the back? If you want the cash in the back, meet Mr. Diaz in this cage on this date, and we'll talk about how much money you guys can split. Like, he's interested in that conversation, not a conversation that involves Michael Chandler, and I can't blame him.
No,
He's not wrong.
I agree. It's a good move to make. What was I gonna talk about? There was something else. My brain forgot about it. I don't know. All the other fights were cool too. I just can't. It was something important I wanted to talk about. Oh, wait. Oh yeah. Did you think Dan Hooker was gonna retire for a second? You probably didn't get a chance to see that moment though.
I didn't.
Yeah.
What exactly happened with him?
Immediately after the fight, immediately as the break before they were calling like they were doing the official announcement, he started ripping his tape off immediately.
Oh, yes. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about, and I did see that moment. And for a split second, I did think that.
Yeah. So everybody freaked out. I was like, oh shit, this
Yeah.
might be over. But
But I think that's just the feeling of having to lose that way.
yeah.
Because I'm sure he was well prepared.
Yeah.
Like, things like that happen. You know, like, he's probably done that to fucking guys. Where a guy's out there and he's well prepared, and you just starch him right away.
And he's got to sit
These kinds
there.
of things happen.
He's got to sit there till February like 17th or something like that.
Yeah, suspensions are awful.
Well, no, not because of suspension, because of COVID.
Oh, he's like in quarantine?
Yeah, New Zealand will not let him back in for like until like the middle of February, because they have 0 cases over
That's
there.
because they already had the rule. So, isn't there now a rule in America?
Let's see.
I was told that we were strategically flown in just before a new rule that would have had us all have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. And of course, I'm developing a sniffle now.
Restrictions. Let's see. I don't know. I did hear something about.
But yeah, I was told
Yeah.
that like on a certain date this month, from that day forward, if you leave the country, you have to be in quarantine for up to 2 weeks. But like we had flown in just before that window, so like we were all good. But I mean, like I was given certificates every like couple of days, wristbands and shit to prove. And then like I had to bring one to the airport. They insinuated that we would not be able to fly home if we weren't able to produce this if asked. Like you have to produce this certificate if called upon, like that you've been tested within the last 48 hours, or you will not be allowed to fly. So I put that bitch right inside my passport, right inside my fanny pack, and kept it zipped. I was like, I'm not losing this. Like, you're not keeping me, Abu Dhabi. You're not keeping me.
Yeah, that would be absurd. I think for a lot of places.
Turn into some weird Sally Field to be like, not without my daughter.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm going. So I think it's if you don't have access to a test, they might not let you back in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get tested, they might be like, deal with it.
Oh, so if you can say like, boom, here's my test, baby.
I think so. That's what
Here's my test, baby.
from the cursor.
I just got tested 24 hours ago. I am straight. No coronaviruses in me, baby. Let me back to my mama and daddy.
Yeah. So starting January 26th, all air passengers aged 2 and older must show proof of a negative COVID-19 test that is no more than 72 hours old to enter the United States.
Boom. Now we had those.
So maybe you could have gone back in. I don't know. Maybe
What?
I don't know. Maybe there's something else that I'm not seeing yet.
But yeah, you gotta have that paperwork.
Give me
Gotta
your
have that paperwork.
papers, please. Your papers, please, as the German.
It's a new world, man.
Yes, your papers.
It's a new world. I mean, is that where we're headed?
Yeah, it might. But for like,
Are you insinuating something, Anthony?
there's been talks of that. Like, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist person. There's been like genuine talks of like
Oh,
master.
there were a lot of talks of that. You don't even understand. That's one of the things I heard about the most.
Yeah, 'cause you have to get your vaccination card. Yeah.
Oh, there were a lot of talks about vaccinations and every conspiracy theory.
I think there was like an actual art. I think it
I
was,
heard about.
who was it? It's not who does the Ticketmaster. They're thinking that they might be requiring vaccination cards for to go to concerts when they start opening back up, when they start doing those again.
I mean, look, I don't give a fuck. I'll get vaccinated tomorrow. I'm not scared. And I don't have like a real opinion about it. It's like, what are the rules? I want to play the games. That's how I look at it. Like, I want to play the games. What are the rules? How do I get to play the games? Are you guys doing some fucking needle? I don't like that. All right, but I want to play the game.
Let's see.
So if that's the price for admission, like, look, like, like I don't know why everyone's
Oh, that's fake. That's
over
fake.
here valuing like their souls all of a sudden.
That's fake
like,
news. Oh, I can tell
Your
you.
souls have all been for sale for quite some time.
Oh, I can tell you.
And mine's been sold out a long time ago.
Because weird stuff happens, dude. Like, you know, people are like, what is it? You got the QAnon people. You got a history of African Americans supposedly. Well, not supposedly. It has happened. Getting mistreated with vaccines and stuff like that, and all that stuff.
Yeah, but like all that stuff was behind closed doors. You think they're gonna like fucking put something on CNN? You think they like if that happened today, right? If you think like they would just like feed syphilis to black people and talk about it openly, like that shit would be on the low.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It wouldn't be
like
like,
that shit would be on the low.
like all these black people are reacting poorly to the
It
vaccine.
would be like, hey, everybody come get this fucking no, they wouldn't do that shit. It wouldn't make any sense.
No, it's funny. That'd be very sad and funny. No, I'm not too worried about
But
it.
like, yeah, although I watch fucking Hidden Colors and other documentaries, quote unquote documentaries, like those are the people that feel this way.
I don't know those documentaries, and
So like, I'm not swayed. I'm not like, oh man, I better watch that. Like, I better not go get a fucking vaccine because someone that thinks that like Hidden Colors is the most accurate documentary in the history of the world. Someone that thinks that The Secret documentary is the best movie they've ever seen in their life. That person influenced my opinion directly. Like now they don't have like a complete inability to influence my opinion. Because you might be in your lane on something. I might hear you out on something that you're in your lane on. But like you don't just get carte blanche over whether I get a vaccine or not.
Yeah.
If I know that you're still like Santa Claus eligible, essentially.
Yeah.
like you don't get to tell me what to do. Not as a default, like I'm not just gonna follow your lead. I can tell you that the Tooth Fairy was real as long as I had a YouTube video fucking be in. So like, all right, so like since that's the case,
That's all it takes.
you don't get to tell me whether I'm getting needle pricked.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, but I'll hear you out about the Tooth Fairy because it's fun.
That's it. That is fair. That's so silly.
I'll hear you out.
Hold on, you're like frozen.
It's not jujitsu. 50 kind and anger management courses
Say it again.
that he has to complete. Well, I was told, not told, I read that Health Gracie was sentenced to 6 months in jail, a $50,000 fine, and he has to take anger management courses as well. But at least that means that the situation's resolved legally, and he can do whatever piece of that he has to do time-wise, and pay whatever piece of that he has to pay cash-wise, and get that piece of his life behind him. I think Flavio's got some new teeth, and like I'm not even ripping. I'm serious. I think he's got some new teeth. So like, if that guy does his time and everyone's satisfied with that, and this other guy's got his teeth back, then the scales have been fucking balanced and everybody can move the fuck on. But yeah, I think it's funny how like I think it's funny how people can have so many different opinions about things and switch up back and forth depending on like what the fucking narrative is needed to suit your fucking needs. So it's like people that do this, that hit people and shit, and that like do violent shit are like assholes and pieces of shit unless it's your homie. And then it's like, hey,
It's like,
like,
what can we do?
like, shout out my man incarcerated, hold it down, you know, like you put out, like, but like, if somebody put their favorite rapper up, like, you know, like shout out to my name incarcerated, they'd be like, oh, this is just evidence of the culture. But when it's your man, incarcerated, you're like, oh man, shout out to my homie incarcerated. Shout out to my man locked down. But whatever's clever. I'm just glad it's resolved. I'm glad it's over with. But yeah, health has to do a bid. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, not really. I mean, like it's like it.
That's exactly right. It's not crazy.
No.
If you elbow a motherfucker in the face, you might have to do some time.
Yeah.
I don't know why people think that that's like what did you think was gonna happen?
Especially if you leave the country afterwards.
You can't throw an elbow on video that knocks out a dude's teeth and expect that everything is gonna be straight.
Yeah.
You're gonna get in trouble because this is a first world country. And like you have to protect people's right to stand where they're standing without getting fucking hit in the face. Especially when you've done nothing wrong.
Right.
He didn't do some crazy action. He didn't put health in any kind of physical danger. He was just standing there. He got fucking elbow in the mouth.
He said something.
If any action of assault should be punishable, it's that one.
It's like all he did.
That wasn't like some mutual agreed upon moment of combat where some guy got the worst end of it and you got to go to jail. That's like one dude was fighting and one dude was standing still. Like you're gonna have time for that. Like you can't just hit everybody you want to hit.
No, you gotta pay money.
Like you have to learn that. See, all right. So look, if you do some super bad shit in Abu Dhabi, they can just kick you out forever.
Yeah.
Like if that had happened over there, he could have just been like, "Oh yeah, you can never ever come back here."
That would be it.
Could you imagine if America action?
Just kicked you
That
out.
if you create a situation where like you perform an